refuge until enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. I make you wish to practice forgiving for all. I go for refuge until enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. I make you wish to practice forgiving for all. May I become a Buddha when all such means. I go for refuge until enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. I make you wish to practice forgiving for all. May I become a Buddha when all such means. Sanye Jala Soge Tanye Yazo Je Lage Jinzo Yega Sonam Je Zola Wenje Sanye Jubasho Sanye Jala Soge Jonam La Chanjo Badu Nani Gyapsu Che Lage Jinzo Kebe Sonam Zola Wenje Sanye Jubasho Sanye Jala Soge Jonam La Chanjo Badu Nani Gyapsu Che Lage Jinzo Kebe Sonam Ge Zola Wenje Sanye Jubasho. Independent origination, there is no ceasing nor rising, no annihilation, no coming, no going, no separation, no sickness. Understood to the Consummate Buddha, the Supreme all teachers, and taught us peace, which is the freedom of liberation. Understood to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas, and the Buddhas, complete peace, which through the knowledge of God supports the achieves the end of the world. And then the teachings. The oneness is transformed into the light of God, motivating our hearts to benefit sentient beings. It teaches God and protector to you and illustrations. The oneness is limited to the right conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine voice of the vast and the profound. Intelligence for the forever never ways to you the Buddha and illustrations. Inspired by wisdom and compassion and creating the Buddha's presence, and everyone who are awakening for the life of all sentient beings. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Desham Tathagato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vadi Mahashamanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Desham Tathagato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vadi Mahashamanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Desham Tathagato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vadi Mahashamanaye Swaha. All phenomena arising causes, the causes are tolerated to Dharma, the ceasing causes is right tolerated to Sivya. Profound peaceful vibrations which very clear and non-positive, such as negative and non-discomfort. Having known and confirmed this teaching in silence and retiring goods. Pure knowledge is no expression, it is a professional wisdom. It is not more unceasing than the nature of space. It is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. You do not know the Buddhas of 3 times every existence. All composite things are impermanent, all contaminated things are the nature of suffering, all phenomena are the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Thus any sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, the Guru is the Sangha, the Guru is the source of everything wholesome. I go for refuge in the Guru. By the Sangha of Dharma, you liberate all beings from disease. I beseech you kindly remain in teachings until the end there is nothing to do with the want. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove things in nature by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transcendental. It is by teaching the truth of such that the beings are liberated. With full hands I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the liberties you do. If you attach to the is why we are not spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is advancement, you will not have with you. Okay, today will be the three principal aspects of art. Page 78. Three principal aspects of path, a bow down to the venerable lamas, as well as I may well explain the essence of all the teachings of the Buddha. I have praised my converse children, and tips for those who desire liberation. This will be the mind of fortunate ones, who are attached to the joys of secular existence. Strive to make good use of the and opportunity, and direct your minds to the path that pleases the Buddhas. Without your renunciation and your attachment for the pleasures of secular existence is unattainable. The greater existence also binds beings, thus when all is at sea in renunciation. Because attraction to this life by reflecting on how much is the opportunity that you will find, and how life is a criminal lost time. Because attraction to future life is like really thinking of the clarity of karma, and this is samsara. Contemplating thus, when for an instant you do not admire the splendors of self-existence, and when you temple liberation day and night, renunciation is more in them. Renunciation is not tempered by a pure mind of bodhicitta, however, but not bring forth perfect wisdom, or silence or enlightenment. Therefore, the wisdom generally excellent mind of bodhicitta, served up in the current of four powerful rivers, tied by strong bonds of karma, so hard to undo. All man and himself grasping, completely enveloped by the darkness of ignorance, born and boundless like existence, ceaselessly tormented by the dream disease. Thinking of your mothers in this condition, generate a supreme mind of bodhicitta. Although we train the renunciation and the mind of bodhicitta, without wisdom that realizes its ultimate reality, we cannot cut the root of second existence. Therefore, strive to understand the arising. One sees the infallible cause and effect of all phenomena in samsara and nirvana, and destroys all forces of recognition, and sends to the path which pleases the Buddhas. Appearances are infallible to prevent arising, emptiness is understanding that is true assertions. As long as these two are seen as distinct, you have not yet realized the internal Buddhas. When these two realizations are not current, where the mere sight is infallible to prevent origination, contemplating destroys all modes of grasping to the definitive ceremony. At that time, the analysis of the found views is perfected. Furthermore, appearance is refute the extreme existence. Emptiness refutes the extreme non-existence. When you understand that emptiness arises in the form of cause and effect, you are not captivated by the illusion meanings. O my child, once you have thus realized that one of the three principles of art, since knowledge will become strong determination, quickly reach the finalized path of the world. Okay. For bodhicitta, what is also important while we learn how to practice this, the rationalities, the logical reasonings to generate this bodhicitta, we also need to read the biographies of the great masters. For example, the biography of the Buddha, the biography of Milarepa, Tsongkhapa, and His Holiness's biography. We must read that. There are two biographies of His Holiness. One's autobiography, which is Freedom in Exile. Freedom in Exile. We must read this. Somehow we are connected with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Somehow, there are many of us who became interested in Buddhism, and even those who were born as Buddhists, they come to take more serious understanding of the teachings of Buddha through the advice, the directions of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. We must read this biography, Freedom in Exile. And the early one is My Land and My People. There's the first biography, My Land and My People. And the second one is the Freedom in Exile. We must read these biographies. This will tell us His Holiness the Dalai Lama, being revered as the God King of Tibet, is revered as an enlightened being, Buddha, Bodhisattva, Arabic and so forth. And they said, what was the real life? And how he demonstrated compassion, how he demonstrated the courage, how he demonstrated the skills, the wisdom in the face of huge challenges. Okay, we need to read the biographies. And for the Buddha's biography, I would say that there's the series, which is the Buddha episodes. I would highly recommend all of you to watch this, and I'm sure many of you watched this already. But those who do not watch it, you must watch it. It has like 54 episodes, 54 of them, initially released by ZTV. And I'm not too sure if it's still available, but it should be available if you Google search it.
The link is broken yesterday. The Geshe sent an email to query that link is broken, but he sent a link to a YouTube. Somebody else sent a link to a YouTube channel that is still working.
Okay.
I could share that.
Okay, thank you.
I've seen your video from YouTube.
Okay, so the Venerable Thupten Denzela is saying that she has the link. She will, those of us who are interested, you contact her, the office, and they will send you the link. Yeah. So this we must watch it. And I would say that this is, when I watched it, I was really impressed. It is so well made, and it displays the Buddhist qualities of compassion, Buddhist qualities of wisdom. They're all well demonstrated, exhibited in the 54 series, Buddha episodes. Okay, and of course it does not cover all the innumerable, the compassionate gestures of the Buddha. They are not covered all, but what is covered there within 53, so I mean very expensive. They must have spent a lot on this, and then it is really done so well. So I'd like to share one which I think I read in one of the sutras, and it was extremely, it really touched me. Wow, that's amazing. The Buddha's compassion and also the wisdom. So what happened was that the Buddha was invited by one of the kings for a meal, and the Buddha attempted to buy like about 500 the monks there for the lunch. And usually the tradition in those days is that after the meal, then whoever is invited as the chief guest, the main guest, will say dedication verses dedicating the merit that's accumulated for the donor, mainly for the donor, and all the other beings. So, as Buddhas were invited, there was the great donor was a supporter of the Buddha, who was ultra rich person known as Ananda Pindika, the great merchant Ananda Pindika, who was extremely rich, and he was a great student, the devout student of the Buddha. It is believed that the karma is such that he acquired a skill, or he acquired a power to just see the treasures underneath the ground with his naked eyes. Where the treasures are, he could see that. And then he dig it out, the treasures come out. Naturally, he'll become very rich. So this is the gentleman by the name Ananda Pindika. And of course, he was a great bodhisattva. And one time, when the Buddha was invited for a meal by this king, and the Buddha, along with all his the disciples, this Ananda Pindika went to the very remote the villages and the slums. He went there with his the staff, several staff with huge sacks. Then he was just loudly telling everybody in these slum areas, very poor people, telling them that the Tathagata has come on this earth, the Tathagata, the Buddha is on this earth today. We are very meritorious, but you don't know that the Buddha is with us on this earth. Why don't we take the maximum advantage of this? You can offer anything, whatever you have, you can make offering, and I will take your offering on your behalf to the Buddha. And take the maximum. Whatever you have a small, say the five fuel, the wood, you want to offer it, or a small sugar, sugar, you offer it sugar cane, or like salt, or like a bread, or whatever you have, or a needle, whatever you have to accumulate merit. Because why you're poor is because of not having accumulated merit of generosity. Now it's a great opportunity. There's the Tathagata here, the object to whom you make this offering, and the benefit is going to be like innumerable times, million times more. So just a small gesture will make it so much merit. So in future, you don't have to suffer the poverty, and also in future you will meet with the Tathagata's teachings. So he was making this loudly, telling this to people in the slum areas. And everybody was so happy. They were bringing, something wrapped in a piece of paper or a small cloth, like the sugar cane, or whatever they have, they offer them. And he would just put everything in this sack. And he and the staff. And then suddenly when he was passing by, there was a small hut, just the open space for window, but no proper window there. From there, very dirty, stinking cloth was thrown just next to the face. And he felt so offended. What is this? I came here to help the people, and somebody's deliberately offending me by throwing this very dirty, smelling cloth to his face. And he's very sensible. He told his staff, where did this cloth they come from? And the staff said, it came from this small hut. And he sent the staff to go to check who's that. They went in and they discovered two old couple, very old couple, both naked, very old, perhaps in 70s or 80s, and both naked, shivering. And the story behind that was that two of them were so poor that they had only one possession, that is a small cloth to cover the lower part of the body. And when the man goes out, he would use it, and the old lady would be inside naked, and the man would go to back for alms, and then come and share between the two. When the wife goes out, she would use it, and then come share whatever she got, and then this is the way of the survival, this small cloth. And then two of them had discussions between two of them that, yes, what we're hearing, that man is saying that this is a great opportunity for us to accumulate merit. Yes, you're right. In this world, perhaps two of us must be the poorest in the world. Why we are poor is because of our no practice of generosity in the past. So if we don't do anything, something in this life, then there's no hope in the future. So it's a great opportunity. The Tathagata is here. We did not know that. And this kind gentleman, he informed us about this. And he also taught us how not to suffer poverty in the future. So now, what should we do? What to offer? We have nothing to offer this piece of cloth. If a piece of cloth, if we cannot go out, then we're going to die. We're going to suffer hunger. Then Buddha said, never mind, let's die. So rather, let's die in this life in hunger, and that at least in the future lifetimes we don't suffer again. So we offer this. But how to go naked? No. So only way is by throwing this from the window. They threw this, and then his Ananda Pindika's staff, when they entered the house, two of them were shivering, saying that, thinking that now they are going to beat us up for offending them, throwing this very stinking piece of cloth. And both the staff, they entered there, there's so much gentleness there, there's calmness there, not like bullyish, like this. And then they asked, who are you? Then they narrated all the stories. They then went back to Anandapindika, reported this, and then Anandapindika put this cloth into the sack and collected all the things and then went to the Buddha. Then he told all the people that I'm going to tell everybody that these are the gifts from the poor people to the Buddha. I'm going to tell the Buddha that this is a gift from the poor people. And then, but he did not want to tell the Buddha because the Buddha knows everything. So what he did was that the Buddha was on the verge to complete his meal, and then the sack, what is this for the Buddha, what is this for the king? It was just garbage. It's garbage, nothing worthwhile, but so precious. It's all coming from the heart of the poor people. So what he did was he put everything he took out from the sack in front of the Buddha. Just kept it stacked there. And the king, what is this? And the Buddha, it was turn for the Buddha to dedicate the merit of offering this food. And then the dedication is always made for the main donor. And the Buddha, what the Buddha did was that instead of dedicating the merit for the king was the main donor, Buddha dedicated the merit for the two couple. And the Anandapindika did not say anything, did not even utter a word. He just stacked all these things there next to the Buddha, and then he sat down. And then the Buddha dedicated all these merits that we have gathered here because of this meal offering. Let's dedicate this to the donor, the two couples. And the king was a little taken aback. I'm the main donor. My name is not said. And then he interrupted Buddha. That Buddha, am I not the main donor? I'm the main donor. Here, I offer the food for you. And all gold, silver, all these things are there for you. I'm donating, I'm making the offering. And the Buddha said, for me, the material values don't matter. For me, the heart matters. You give all these things, but you are not risking your life. The two couple, they give this, and then Buddha just put his hand into the garbage, pulled that cloth out, and kept it in his arm, in his hands, as it was very precious, like a small child, and said that the donor of this is actually stinking. And the stinking, the king cannot cover his nose, because the Buddha is keeping it very close, as very dearly. And the Buddha said that all couple who offered this to me, they are risking their life. They know that they're going to die if they give this to me, because they don't know how to. They go for alms begging, so they're going to die, and yet they are ready to die to give this offering to me. So this is the most precious offering today. So I dedicate the merit for these two couple. And the king, hearing how the Buddha is so loving and so compassionate, so loving towards the two couple, the king said, I could not believe that there is a couple who is so poor that was to survive on this dirty cloth. So he sent his ministers to inquire where these two couples are, and make sure that two of them, Buddha loved them so much, and we cannot keep them poor. We must make sure that they have proper house, they have proper clothing, they have proper food, they have everything, all the sustenance should be there. He sent the minister right in on emergency task. And the minister, they were busy in search of the two couple. And finally, they found this house, and the ministers, with all the elegant dresses, they got in. And then the two couples were shivering even more, thinking that now that we have offended the Buddha so much, that the king is so angry, he must have sent the minister to kill us. And the ministers, instead of being the rude, they were extremely respectful to two of them, because the king said that you must treat two of them as our guest, most important guest. And two of them, instantly they were given good place to good home, and food, clothing, all the sustenance were provided by the king. So this very lifetime they were protected. So this is the Buddha's compassion. So when we, each one of us, when we become Buddhas, we can see each one of them and you can see the heart, the purity. For you, it doesn't matter how the status, it doesn't matter your material background. It's about the purity of the heart. Okay, this is so precious. Okay, so with this yesterday, we're almost done. What were we doing yesterday? Altruism. We are doing the method of equalizing exchange of self for others, and which has 9 steps. By now, I hope all of you have the 9 steps on your fingertips. Right? Okay. So we did the 8th one. 8th one is altruism, and next is the 9th one, which is Bodhicitta. So let's say that this is very important. 8th one, which says that I will take the responsibility. I'll take the responsibility to make sure that all beings are free from suffering, that all beings are happy. So when we say that I'll take the responsibility, the next question is, how are we going to take the responsibility? Okay. So so these are the steps, extremely systematic. So first, you feel the special recollection of the kindness of all the beings, and then you feel that so these beings are so beneficial, so kind to me. So then your mind automatically flows towards them. There is love and affection. So with this, when you see the plight of the beings as suffering, as devoid of happiness, you wish that they are free from suffering, that they have happiness, compassion, and loving kindness. So this is not explicitly presented in the 9 steps. This is the implicit step in between the special recollection of kindness of others and altruism. The implicit, the step. So this must be included here. So with this, then the next is that who will do it? May you be free from suffering. May all beings have the happiness. But who will do it? I will do it. That's altruism. I will do it. And the next question is, how are you going to do it? So when you say, I will do it, we have to make a commitment, not just, now it's the altruism to take the responsibility. No, just mentally feel that. I will take the responsibility that all beings are free from suffering, that all beings are endowed with happiness. On what ground? On the ground that they are so beneficial and kind to me. Kind to me. To give me everything. To give me the short-term benefit, small scale, large scale, short-term benefit, to give me the lasting benefit, nirvana, Buddhahood. So they give me this, my self-centered attitude never give me anything good. It only pulls me down into miseries. So these beings are the ones who provide. Without them, I cannot have any of these benefits. So it is them that. So because when you feel that you receive so much benefit from them, your mind automatically flows. That is love and affection, manifesting in the form of compassion and kindness. And then I must help them. I must take the responsibility to help these other beings to be free from suffering, that they've been endowed with happiness. I must take the responsibility. So make a very strong commitment that I will take the responsibility. And say in your own capacity, say for example, you are here in Thosamling, Nunnery, and say in your own capacity, just see how to make things easy for the community. How to make things, people inside, that people are more friendly. If the little, let's say, hardship is going with somebody, you jump there to help this person. And same, of course, we need a lot of skill, particularly the bigger community, more the skill you require to help the community and to make the people gel with each other. And likewise, say in your own family, say usually you expect your mother to give me tea, food, and so forth. Now you take the initiative. You take the initiative to do this. And sometimes when the mother feels happy that mother does it to you, let her do it. But mostly you do it. Take the initiative. So these are all part of altruism. I'll take the responsibility. And then of course we require a lot of skills at workplace, particularly in the corporate world. The tendency is that somebody always tries to pull you down so that the other person gets promotion or like practice, all these nasty practices are there, but these are all the indications of the weakness and the vulnerabilities of other people. So when you reach to that level of compassion, instead of feeling angry, you will feel them so vulnerable, you will feel compassionate. So this is where, this is how our compassion can grow. So taking the responsibility in your own capacity, where where things can go counterproductive, you should be a little skillful. Otherwise, just take the initiative, take the responsibility to make things easier for your family members, for the community members, in your workplace, and so forth. Even for taking care of the vegetations, environment. Say you go out in the forest, you are eating banana, you are eating some candies, and the garbage, you just throw it like this. Even in the streets, from the car window, you just throw water that you drank, the bottle that you throw from the windows. No, don't do that. Take responsibility for the environment, and being vegetarian, turning towards vegetarianism. And so like this, just take the responsibility. So don't expect, when you take responsibilities, again the self-centered attitude is extremely cunning. Extremely cunning self-centered attitude. So when you do something good for others, for the environment, so forth, and then self-centered attitudes is asking you to do for credit. You must get some credit, recognition from other people, right? And then, I did this much to you, I did this much to this person is so shameless, when I'm in difficulty, the person is not helping me, right? Your expectation. This expectation is triggered within you by the self-centered attitude. Again, the self-centered, while you do something good for others, to diminish self-centered comes out in a very smart way to again deceive you, make you to feel the expectation in return for what you've done. And then when people don't return your the works or your kind gestures, then you become angry, agitated. They are shameless people. This is all because of expectation. What makes you have the expectation? This expectation just destroys your virtuous karma. It damages your virtuous karma, and immediately it makes you unhappy. Just if you don't, just imagine if you don't have the expectation, when the other person does not reciprocate to you for the good gestures that you have done, and you will not be in pain, you will not be irritated. It's fine. So I did it. My job is done, and the other person they return it to me. It's fine, because you don't have the expectation. So that way, the virtue that you did is not damaged, and that you are not agitated. And this agitation, nobody wants it. What creates agitation? Expectation. What makes agitation? Self-centered attitude. It is so devious. Self-centered attitude. So this is how we have to reflect on the demerits of the self-centered attitude. To what I shared with you, on top of that, you just add your own experiences, which tell you the reality. Okay, so with this, then the next question is, when you take this responsibility, I'll take the responsibility. Mentally, you try to feel it. Verbally, try to say this. I'll take the responsibility. And then once in a while, you can also evaluate if you actually have the tendency to take responsibility, right? And when you do remember the incidents where you take initiative to help others, you take initiative, rejoice. Oh yes, I did it. So there, somebody was lost, and if I go to spend a little time to help the person, I'm going to miss this and that. But I sacrificed my thing, and I went there to help the person, and I took the initiative. Oh, I did it. I'm so happy. Feel the joy. When you feel the joy, you feel like doing it again. So this is how we have to build the strength of the altruism. Good. The next question is, how are you going to do? How are you going to make sure that you're going to help all of the beings? For that, if you look at the history of humanity, for this, of course, when you speak about the history of the humanity, for this you need to have a good picture of the teachings of Buddha. In other words, the good picture of the benefit of Bodhicitta, the good picture of the power of the wisdom of emptiness, the four seeds and so forth. When you get a comprehensive picture of the benefit, the profundity of the practice of the Buddhist teachings, then you will see that in the history of humanity there was one Prince Siddhartha, and who succeeded in this journey to benefit all the beings. Just look at this, the legacy that he left, the treasure that he left, the incredibly precious treasure, a great legacy for all the sentient beings. You just see this. This has the capacity to take me to fearlessness. This has the capacity to take me to infinite happiness. This has the capacity to take all of us to these two states. How come they succeed in this question? So, the two lines said by Acharya Dignaga, the one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by ultimate benefit of all sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata, protector to able frustrations. These two lines on this basis, the one who has transformed, meaning somebody who was as ordinary the prince. From them he transformed into the reliable guide to lead all the beings towards fearlessness and infinite happiness. How did he transform? Or was he the God right from the beginning? No, he was not a God. He was an ordinary person like us, and then he transformed into the reliable guide. Wow. If this is how he did, I can also do that. I'm an ordinary person now. I also have the Buddha nature. I can also be transformed. Yes. So I must become one like him. What is that? May I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. That is Bodhicitta. Okay. So why should you become Buddha to benefit all the beings? Why should you become Buddha? In what way it helps? For this we need to know that the best way, for example, tell me honestly, there are so many ways of helping others. For example, today, if when Samula, if she levitates 2 feet in the air, sit there in the air for two minutes like this, there's going to be traffic jam. The next day traffic jam, everything will come on the BBC. And the government will take initiative to make a road. Make a road here. You don't have to take any initiative. The government will take the initiative. And all markets will come. Right? Just levitate for 2 minutes. Whenever Samula, levitate for 2 minutes. Traffic jam will happen, believe it or not. Right? Okay, now tell me. And then everybody will talk about a nun levitating in the air, right? And BBC will cover everything. What is that? What is that? BBC and CNN will cover all these, and the hashtag, right? And what is this? NDTV. All the televisions will cover this, right? And there's going to be traffic jam. Believe it or not, in 1 week there's going to be the road, Pakka road, full road coming right at the Gompa. Tell me. All these people will spend so much money to come here. And what will they get? Tell me. What will they get? All these people, what will they get? They will get, wow. That's it, and they will return. Right? They get wow. And this wow will never fill the belly. The wow will not give them more education. The wow will not take them to fearlessness. The wow will not take them to infinite happiness. Nothing. It's the same person. In the home, they will continue to fight with their parents, continue to fight with their husband, wife, children. Right? Nothing's there. But there's going to be traffic jam. You getting it? This is one way of benefiting beings. Another way is by giving food. Another way is giving money, giving shelter, giving directions, and so forth. So what do you think is the best way by which to benefit other beings? Anyone? Best way to benefit other beings? Dharma, to give teachings. It's because of this that Buddha performed such miracles, levitations, all these things Buddha performed. Arya Nagarjuna never praised the Buddha for levitating in the air. Arya Nagarjuna praised the Buddha for giving teachings on emptiness and dependent origination out of compassion. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel the perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Who's that? Who said it? Arya Nagarjuna said it. Enthused by great compassion, you are actually moved by great compassion. Your quality of compassion is amazing. And that made you to teach the Dharma. To dispel the perverted views, the wrong views, which trap the beings in samsara. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. This is how the wise people see the goodness and the qualities in somebody else. Quality of compassion and the quality of wisdom. Okay, so we see that the best way by which to benefit the beings is by giving teachings. And to give the teachings in the most effective way, you need three qualities. Perfect love, perfect knowledge, perfect love, and the perfect power. These three qualities are required for you to be most effectively giving the teachings to other beings, to benefit the beings, free the beings from miseries, and take them to ultimate happiness. Three qualities are required. What are they? Perfect knowledge, perfect love, and the perfect power. Okay, why these three qualities are required? The first one, perfect knowledge. Let us say that when you were a very young girl or a young boy in school, and your father tells you that, hey, study well. If you study well, I'm always there to support you, I'm there to help you. And then one time, you have a science exam. You have a science exam. And then you remember your father's advice. Then you go to your father, telling him that, my dad, the science exam is approaching within a week's time, so please teach me science. You promised to help me if I'm eager to study well. I'm now very eager to study well. And the father said, I'm very sorry, I always failed in science when I was in school. How can you expect somebody to teach you science who always failed in science? Right? So even your father, who's so keen to help you, could not help you. Why? What was he lacking? He was lacking the knowledge. So in order to help somebody, you must have a thorough knowledge. Perfection knowledge is required. Then the father, he said, okay, my daughter, my son, don't worry. Our next door neighbor is a professor in science, professor in physics. He can help you. And you can go there. And you go there, knock at the door, and the professor came out, university professor came out. I said, hey, little girl, little boy, what do you want? So my science exam is approaching within a week's time. Please teach me science. 5,000 rupees per hour. 5,000 rupees is how many dollars? $100, let's say. $100 per hour. Right? In America, there's a $500 per hour. Can you pay this? $500 is very expensive, even by American standard. Very expensive. $500 per hour. You know that I'm not a school teacher. I'm a university professor, and I'm a Nobel laureate in physics. Right? So my charge is going to be more. Right? 5,000 rupees per hour. Okay. So you cannot pay this much money. You go back to your father. So even the professor could not help you. Why he could not help you? Because he's lacking love. Your father will never ask for 5,000 rupees. Your mom will never ask for 5,000 rupees for 1 hour teaching. Then your father said, I'm very sorry. And said, okay, don't worry. Your mother, although she's not a professor in science, but when she was in school, she was a topper in science. She was in school, she was a topper in science. And when your mother comes back in the evening, like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, you would request her. So she has knowledge and she loves you. Then she comes and you jump to the mother and say, Mom, teach me science. The mother says, please stay away from me. The mother went for a conference. For a conference, she ate some stale food and she has a diarrhea problem. Right? So she has the knowledge and she loves you. but she cannot help you because she does not have the power to help you. So in order for somebody to help you most effectively in giving teachings, should have the perfect power. So when will you be equipped with these three perfections? When your Buddha nature becomes manifest fully. That is the state you are a Buddha. So when you become a Buddha, when a Buddha nature becomes manifest completely, at that point you are endowed with three perfect qualities. Being endowed with three perfect qualities, you are in a position to benefit all the sentient beings instantly. The question is, by why? The Buddha became Buddha 2,500 years ago. Still, so many people are suffering. He could not benefit all the beings. So, let's not forget this. There, the Arimathriya, in his text, Abhisamanakara, he put it so beautifully. It's a very beautiful, the poetic metaphor. So he said that the God of the rains shower the rain equally to all the places. Where there's a seed, will germinate into a sprout. Where there's no seed, no matter how much the rain comes, no crop will germinate. You understand what is being said? So the Buddha is like showering the rain without any partiality to everywhere the same, everywhere in that plot of land. But where there's a seed, there will germinate and give rise to the crop. Where there's no seed, no crop will grow. So where are the beings? So when I say the benefit of the beings, it is again like the two hands coming together. The Buddha's blessings, the Buddha's power, and your karma. Two together, then the benefit comes into being. Where the Buddha's blessings there, your karma is not there, no sound of the benefit. So that in order for us to receive the benefit from the Buddhas, we have to make sure that our negative karmas are mitigated, and from our side we should make some preparation, like study the Dharma to the best we can, practice the Dharma to the best you can. Then at a certain point you will see that the Buddha's blessings are actually the showering on you like rain, right? Okay, so it's because of this that the great masters, they say that all the good things that we experience, somehow they're influenced by the Buddha's blessings. For us, you go out and you feel so hot at one point, you go out, you could feel the breeze there. Even the breeze that you feel is the blessings of the Buddha's there. Of course, your karma is there. Your karma is there and the Buddha's blessings there. Without Buddha's blessings, you will not. For example, let's say that who are the two children of Obama? Sasha and Malia. Okay, let's say Sasha and Malia. Sasha and Malia existed before the Obama became the president. Yes? They existed already. Nobody heard of them. The moment the father became the president, they were just heard all over the world. Sasha, Maria, right? Even the little girls, they mimic themselves as Sasha. And somebody mimic them as the Malia, right? Only after the father became the president. You're getting it? So therefore, the point is that, so where these two girls have already existed before he became the president. But the benefit they got, the moment the fathers upgraded to the presidentship, they got the benefit is just multiplied by millions times. So likewise, same, although we have the karma, because of the blessings of the Buddha, then this karma, the benefit simply multiplies. Even the very tiny breeze that you feel, or in the winter, very terribly cold winter, you are in a very cozy bed, you feel this joy, and you enjoy the cheesecake. So there you feel this feeling of joy. Every piece of the joy that you experience, there's a blessing from Buddha there. Same, I remember one very interesting anecdote. Look, this is and then how do you know that? I don't see any Buddha giving me the blessing like this, right? And Buddha's blessings are oftentimes where you don't, because the Buddhas don't have any expectation from you. right? Sometimes somebody does something so good to you, and the person appears before you. I did it for you, right? Expectations there, but the Buddha said never expectation. It's like the mother's love, right? Mother's love, and not all mothers, but majority of mothers, 80-90% of mothers, they don't have expectations from the child. They simply want the child to be happy and good. This is exactly the Buddha's love. So I remember this, what I'm sharing with you now. This is what very clearly demonstrated by one of my friends, and he was from an extremely humble family, extremely poor family, and his father and the father's brothers, 2 or 3 brothers there, and sisters there, and his wife, his mother was there, and then he has several siblings there, 3, 4, I think 4 or 5 siblings there. Huge family, and very poor. And gradually, eventually, he somehow got in the village, in the very simple, poor village. Somehow he got some decent work. He became like a small mayor in a tiny village. And then from there he still got further promotion. And his uncle and all the family members, they were still very poor. And his uncle was driving a small motorbike. And the motorbike, you have to put fuel in it, gas in it. And the motorbike, the gas, how much, this petrol, how many liters can go in? Anyone? Any idea? 3 liters? 3.5 liters?
5 to 7 liters.
Okay, some says 5 to 7. This must bullet, the ninja must be driving the bullet, right? And maybe the tuna. Lakshmi must be driving the tuna, the small one. Right? So let's say the 3.5 liters, let's say 3.5 liters. And this uncle, he would buy how much of the petrol? Like this. He would buy like this much for 2 rupees. In those days, 2 rupees, this much. Actually, it has capacity minimum by 3 liters. But he would buy, because he did not have money. And he lived like this for all these years, so poor. So did not dare to spend so much. And then this gentleman, now the uncle's nephew, he came to know about this. So what he did was that he went to the petrol pump and told the person that when my uncle, who always comes to ask for this much of petrol, when he comes, what you do one thing. You keep a register, and when he says, okay, give me petrol, just fill his tank full. And if he pays you 1 rupee, take it. If he pays you 2 rupees, take it. But make sure that you fill his tank full. And then whatever the petrol that you gave, keep it in the register. On this date, I gave 2 liters. Which is like, let's say 2 liters, like 60 rupees in those, let's say 40 rupees. And he bought petrol for only 2 rupees. And he got petrol of 60 rupees, right? So keep a register, and then after 1 month, give the bill to me. I'll pay you. But don't tell my uncle that I'll pay, right? If he asks you, but I paid you 2 rupees, is this what I get for 2 rupees, the whole tank full of the petrol? You just say yes, right? And the uncle did not know that. Uncle was so fascinated. How come I can drive this very freely for the whole 1 week for 2 rupees? The whole 1 week, and the petrol never goes away. And he discovered that they're giving him the full petrol. He was so fascinated. How come? It must be a blessing of the gods. And then he asked them, right, I just give you 2 rupees. Is this for 2 rupees? Yes. 2 rupees. He never knew that it was all coming from from his nephew, right? So this is how the Buddha's blessings are what we receive. Without you knowing, there's a Buddha who is actually giving us, showering his blessings, that we get this happiness. Every small bit of the happiness that we get, small to the big, they are all related to the Buddha's blessings. Like this, the nephew maintaining the anonymity and making sure that the uncle is benefited. Okay, so that is say when you become Buddha, you will be endowed with three perfect qualities: perfect knowledge, perfect love, and perfect power. Bodhisattvas, they don't have the three perfections, they have the three qualities. They have the three qualities: love, knowledge, and power, but they don't have the perfection of the love, perfection of the knowledge, and the perfection of the power. So Bodhisattvas are struggling to get the perfection of these three, so that they can most effectively benefit all the beings.
Power be equated with ability?
Ability, exactly. Ability and the potential. Yes. Okay. So this is the Bodhicitta practice on the basis of the method realizing existence of others. Next is what? Bodhicitta practice on the basis of the sevenfold cause-effect method. So this method is who inherited this teaching from the Buddha? Aramatria. Aramatria passed down this to Arya Sangha. Then Arya Sangha passed down to his younger brother, Acharya Vajrabandhu. Okay, this is how it is transmitted, and finally they passed down to Lama Selim Pani, Indonesia, and then to Lama Atisha Digamara Shrikyana, and then Lama Atisha brought this to Tibet, and this is how this teaching remains so alive till today. Okay, and for information about this, the method of equalizing exchanges of others, you do find the mention of this in Arya Nigarjuna's text also, but more systematically you find in the Bodhisattva Shantideva's text, Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, chapter 8. But when I say systematic, it doesn't mean that how I put the 9 steps. No. With 9 steps, you have to know what the 9 steps are, and to supplement, to enrich these 9 steps, you take from what the Bodhisattva Shantideva taught in chapter 8. Okay. And the reasons that he employed, he gave the extremely sharp reasons, the cognitive transformation. If you understand what he's saying, cognitive transformation is must. It will automatically happen. So with this you see that the compassion is exponentially growing. You'll see that. Okay. So therefore, we should be wise enough to know that to bring about spiritual transformation, particularly going towards the Buddhahood. And if your goal is just to maintain a calm, peaceful mind, you have no idea about Buddhahood or the fearlessness, nirvana, and if your job is just you want a peace of mind, then single point meditation is fine. You do some single point breathing meditation, that's fine. Whereas if you want to just see that the anger subsides, if this is what you want, then Buddhahood, okay, I don't know what it is, nirvana, I don't know, but at least there's so much anger there. With my anger, I can see the immunity goes down, and then there's so much health issues. Yes, anger can really give rise to so much of health hazards. I've seen that with my own eyes. Anger can really destroy your immunity, and which, because of the lack of immunity, you can just end up into all forms of health issues, health hazards. I've seen it with my own eyes. So anger must be dealt with. And some people, some smart doctors, they will advise the patients, instead of continuously extracting money from the patient, would be so genuine and tell the patient that stop your anger, otherwise this is going to kill you, right? Otherwise, let him have more anger, the doctor can extract more money, continuously extract more money from him. But some doctors are so kind, they will say that stop your anger, Stop the anger, otherwise this anger will kill you. Okay, so if this is your endeavor to stop anger, then practice bodhicitta. And if you're a little intelligent, if you're interested in wisdom and emptiness, then these two will help you to remove the anger. But if you want to go for the infinite happiness, Buddhahood or nirvana, it must be a complete practice. Renunciation, bodhicitta, wisdom of emptiness, and the single point meditation. All are required, not one partially. You're getting it? This is so important. Okay. Now the sevenfold cause effect method. Sevenfold cause effect. Yes, Abhishekji.
Small question.
Yes.
About, the two aspirations. One is to practical aspect of reducing anger. The practical aspect which you mentioned of reducing anger by practicing is the awareness, and the second aspect is to achieve fearlessness or absolute happiness, infinite happiness. And if the aspirations and the efforts are not in sync, what do you think if so one is aspiring for Buddhahood and nirvana and not achieving, will that elevate the anger? Can that also happen? That you actually...
Okay, I couldn't follow you completely. Say it again. Say to remove the anger. I said that the two aspects, one build your compassion.
There is one aspiration.
One aspiration.
Other aspiration is to attain absolute infinite happiness or Buddhahood or nirvana.
Yes.
And if you're aspiring for that, and if you're unable to achieve, or if you're failing, and or not being able to put all the effort, would that again result in increasing the frustration and anger?
Okay, that's interesting. Say you are thinking of attaining Buddhahood in nirvana, and you find that it's not happening. And so you aspire for that. The more you aspire that, the less you accomplish it, the more the anger arises. Is it possible? This question. Okay, so this morning I said we should be realistic. We should be as a long journey. Long journey means you should be well prepared. You should have the proper roadmap. And you have to know what are the potential dangers, shortcomings, threats that can come on the way. And you should be ready with what remedies to apply when this happened, that happened, this happened, that happened. Then you should have the remedies ready. Because this is a very important journey. It's not like a small child's journey. It's a very important journey. Okay. So with this, the point is that one of the dangers, particularly with the people from the modern education itself is designed to accomplish something in this life. So subconsciously, we are like indoctrinated to say that what you do, result must be seen in this life. Ultimate result, final result must be seen in this life. No modern education is designed for you to attain, say, the better, the meaningful life, the next life. No. Modern education is designed that way. So because of which, our mind is shaped in ways to look for something, the result, ultimate result, just in this life. And if possible, within 10 lives. With maximum like 10 years. And people who can think longer than 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, usually they become extremely good strategists of the nation. The thinkers, think tanks. People in think tank, these are the people who are being identified by the bigger people, that these people can help the nation, to build the nation. Or you are put in a group called as the think tank, who can think of the policies for the nation, 20 years policy, 100 years policy, and 200 years policy, 300 years policy. So most of the people, they are not trained like this. Only a few people, perhaps from the past lives, they have this mindset, and these can think of from a very global, from the wide range of, from the point of perspective of the wide range of time and space. They think of this. So these people, they can become like the policymakers and be in the think tank. So whereas the most ordinary people, they just want the result right away, right? So this morning we discussed it, renunciation, 4 seals, I'll meditate for 1 month. 1 month renunciation is fine. Then Bodhicitta, he said it will take longer. Okay, 2 months, Bodhicitta. Then the wisdom emptiness, and that I'll not eat food. Just water is fine. Or some Maggi is fine. Maggi instant noodles is fine. Right? So that I save my time. Then the wisdom emptiness, he said many studies. Okay, let's say 3 months. And then what? Single body meditation. For single body meditation, it doesn't require so much studies. Just observe the breath. Right? 1 month is enough. So total how many months? 9 months. 9 months. And then what? Then Gade is already there. Then Paragade, nothing to do. Just continue this practice. Then Paragade, Parasamgade, Bodhisvaha, right? Then Buddhahood. Before 1 year, Buddhahood. Before Buddhahood, in 2 weeks, you drop everything, right? This is because you are being very unrealistic. You are being very unrealistic. You think that your car is a Rolls-Royce car. Actually, your car is a very 20 years old car. 20 years old car, and you are using this car in order to run like 200 kilometers, 300 kilometers per hour. This is what you're thinking. Very unreal. Your mind is like a very crude car, very simple car, that to like 20 years old car, right? With the what is the mileage? A quarter of a kilometer per liter. Per liter, quarter of a kilometer. That to like tuk 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 tuk, right? What is the speed? 10 kilometers per hour. And this is the car that you're using and expecting to reach the sun in 1 year or in a few months. You reach the sun there. This is totally unrealistic. You're getting it? So what we do is that, but this car is, although it's very crude, simple car, but you can use the same car and make it Rolls Royce. You don't have to buy Rolls Royce from outside. Right? This car is, but this uniqueness of this car is that it can become Rolls Royce if you tackle it nicely. Right? How? First work on consistency. First work on consistency, small, start small. Focus on consistency. Don't focus on the quality, don't focus on the quantity, focus on the consistency. And if you can prove that you're consistent for 1 year, 2 years, only then I will say that you are serious. I will not say that you are successful, I'll say you are serious. Only if you are serious, I will then suggest you to go for the quality, go for the rigor. Consistency and the rigor. First, work on consistency. You have to prove that first. 1 year, 2 years. Even for modern education, even to become a professor, even to complete your PhD, you have to minimum spend like 16 years, 16, 17, 18 years. Minimum. Just for PhD, you have to minimum 16, 17. How can you expect to attain Buddhahood within 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? Even for mundane PhD, you need to spend 16 years. That was the prime of your life. So how can we expect to become Buddha within like 1 year, 2 years? How can we be impatient? We should be very realistic. Okay, so first focus on the consistency for 1 2 years. If you're consistent with this, then I will pass you as successful practitioner. No, as a serious practitioner. Then I will ask you to work on your rigor. You getting it? This is how we have to grow. This is how to work. Okay. So with this, the next is the sevenfold cause effect method to generate bodhicitta. Okay. For the sevenfold cause effect, the method for generate bodhicitta, first let us enumerate about the 7R. Okay, ready? The first is remembering all beings as one's mothers. Remembering all beings as one's mothers. Number 2, remembering their kindness. Remembering their kindness. Number 3, repaying the kindness. Repaying the kindness. Next is number 4, seeing the beings in the light of great affection. Seeing the beings in the light of great affection. Number 4. Number 5, great compassion. Great compassion. Number 6, altruism. And number 7, bodhicitta. Okay, number 1, remember all beings of one's mothers. Number 2, remembering their kindness. Number 3, repaying their kindness. Number 4, seeing beings in the light of great affection. Number 5, great compassion. Number 6, altruism. Number 7, bodhicitta. Okay, remember all beings of one's mothers. What is number 2? Remembering the kindness. What is number 3? Repaying the kindness. What is number 4? Seeing the beings in the light of great affection. What is number 5? Great compassion. What is number 6? Altruism. What is number 7? Bodhicitta. Good. Okay. The first is seeing beings and the remembering all beings as one's mothers. Okay. Most of us, this practice can go well for us, but some of us, 1 out of 10,000 people, or 1 out of 1,000 people, may find the first step not so acceptable. Who is that? Somebody and they who did not get this love and affection from the mother at your early age. Early age meaning when you're born. Age 1, age 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The mother, the mother might have been somebody who had a very difficult childhood herself, and not knowing how to give love and affection. That is one. And then some of the mothers having mental problems. Mental problems meaning, say like schizophrenia and so forth. Then how can you blame the mother? The mother herself is in such a pathetic situation, vulnerable situation. When you are suffering from the schizophrenia, you can't expect to give love and affection because you have to live in fear every moment. And so, of course, it's like the self-created. It's not really fear from outside, but out of the disease that you feel this fear. How can I expect to give love to somebody else? So whereas I would say 99% of the people, you will not find difficulty with this practice. But you may say that no, I don't agree because I have a difficulty with my mother. That must be after you reaching age 14, 15, 16, 17, not before that. If you have no issue before age 10 or before age 11, I would say that you can practice this well. And if you still think that you cannot, this is indication that we are ordinary beings. Simply because we have minor differences, when you become more self-sufficient, age-wise, age 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, then the friction is built up between you and mother, not because that the mother is unkind, it's because that the mother loves you so much and the mother doesn't want you to go into a bad the situation. And then you, because you are totally inexperienced, you can easily end up into bad situation. You can end up into dangerous. And you don't think that is danger. You see it as, say a very happy moment. Actually it can be a very dangerous situation, which your mother and father could see. When they try to stop you, you become very angry towards your mother and father. So, whereas at the age of like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, if you have no issue with your mother, you are the person, you are fit to practice this. Okay, remember all beings as one's mother. But the Buddha very clearly indicated, it's not that you can do this practice only related to your mother, not necessary. Whereas if you genuinely feel more loving and affection towards your father, grandmother, grandfather, or anybody to whom you genuinely feel somebody is extremely kind, who is really selflessly there for you, right? Genuinely. This is a key keyword, genuinely. Otherwise, we say oftentimes when we meet somebody initially, you see the other person like a god. Other person gives you the full, you have the 100% freedom. Other person gives you 100% freedom. You get 200% freedom. That is for 1 week or 2 weeks. Right? And then after that you lose your freedom. This is what happens. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, younger ones still you may not understand. Right? Okay. So you lose. So first you get 200. First, look at this. This is the marketing. Right? This is how the marketing is done. Right? When you first set up a restaurant, the food which otherwise cost you like say 1,000 rupees, you will get for 200 rupees. Wow, it's so cheap, so good food, everybody goes there, right? And then the price shoots up to 2,000 rupees, right? Okay, and then you're already trapped there. And the people who sell you the SIM cards, it's a free SIM card. Free SIM card. Not a free SIM card, you also have the 200 rupees free talk time. Wow, that's amazing. You don't have to pay anything, you get the SIM card free. And then you can talk time, 200 rupees, 500 rupees free. And that too, free for 3 months, sometimes. Sometimes free for 1 year. Wow, that's amazing. Everybody buys this. And then you cut off from all the other connectivities. Then it becomes monopoly. Right? And then it shoots up. Right? You have to pay. Then pay what? Whatever they charge you, you have to pay this. Now the switch is very difficult to see something else. This is the marketing strategy. Right? This is exactly what's happening in a private life. Right? First you get 200 freedom. First you have 100. And then the other person comes, they give you 200. That's amazing. Initially both sides get 200. That's amazing. I don't know where this extra 200 is coming. Both sides get 200. Actually 100 and 100. If 200 means one person should get 200 and the other person should get 0. No, both get 200. Because right, saying hey, I have a little headache. Wouldn't mind getting the medicine from this 2 kilometers. Yes, I'll go there. Right? Going there is a joy. Going there is joy. Then later on, at the next door, can you get the water from the kitchen? Why can't you do it? Right? After 2 weeks, after 3 weeks, after 1 month, then you lose your 50%. Right? Okay. So the point is that it is not necessary. This is what I meant by genuine. Generally speaking, the mothers, they will continue to worry with the child. Generally speaking, not with everyone, but majority, like 60%, 70% of the mothers, they continue to worry about you. You're not studying well, they wish that you study well. You are an alcoholic, they wish that you don't study, it's fine. You don't work at all, but stop the alcohol. And when you stop alcohol, at least study something. Right? You don't have to work, study something. You eat well. Right? And then you eat well, just read books. No, do something. Right? And you do good. Right? Look at that person, there's a CEO. You can also become a CEO. Right? And then go to another person, my son is very good, my daughter is very good. Right? You become CEO. And when you become CEO, again she has another aspiration. Right? Right? You should run 2 companies. 3 companies. Eventually you should become the minister of the commerce of the nation. And still you should be happy if you become that. You should become the UNO General Secretary. Right? So this is the mother's aspiration for you. Mother loves you so much that she wants the best thing for you. She will continue to worry about you even when you reach 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Right? She'll continue to worry about you. This is the meaning of the genuine love and affection. Whereas, who gives you 200% happiness, freedom, and then in 2 weeks you lose the 50%, that's not the genuine. You're getting it? Okay. So, what I'm saying is that the Buddha very clearly indicated that anyone who gives you genuine love and affection, you think of that person, not necessarily your mother. But if you feel your mother, in most cases, the mother is an ideal example. And particularly when the very manner in which I told you, I shared the story with you on the American, did I say the story here? No? Here in this class? Are you sure? Okay, I don't trust those people who did NDC, NMC, they got confused between the two classes. Including myself. Did I share?
Yes, you did.
Did I share this here? Or those people, we have to ask those people who did not attend NTC, NMC, these classes.
Your American
About?
Your American student and her mother? The American student and her mother who was sick?
Yes. Good. Okay, good. So the point is that if you think that you have problem with your mother, particularly if the problem is after when you reach age 14, 15, 16, 17, not before that, then you have to go back in time. When you were age 10 or age 12, 11, 10, and try to remember those episodes where there's a prospect of your mother for some business meetings or business travels that she had made, and then she had to leave you behind, and then such the pain that comes to you because of your love for your mother. So just try to retreat those experiences. Then you see that then slowly the deep, profound imprint of affection that you have, that you have left related to your mother, the love towards mother, it will come more and more evidently on the surface. Then you will see your mother, you will see the mother very differently. At a certain point, you see the mother, you just feel some kind of corrosion, uneasiness there. And now when you go back in time, you treat this very profound, the imprint of the love that you receive from the mother. Think of that more when you were vulnerable, age 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Think of this more, then this imprint will come manifestly on the surface. And then you see your mother is so beautiful and so nice. You feel the joy there in seeing your mother. It's so beautiful. You must try this. Okay. And the Buddha said, you can think about your son, your daughter, your teacher, the uncle, your auntie, whoever gave you a genuine affection, you think of that person. Okay. Seeing being remember all beings as one's mothers. This just serves example, and you can relate this to your father, brother, son, sister, whatever. Okay. So the question is that in this life you have a mother, and in the former life also you had a mother. In the former life also you had a mother. So how many times you had a mother? Infinite number of times. For this question is, how do we know that there's a rebirth, there's a former life? How do we know that? This is a big question. Okay, since that we don't have much time, I don't want to share all the stories meaning my own anecdotes. The anecdotes of meeting with the scientists, physicists, talking about the rebirth and so forth. I want to skip these stories there. To make it very quick, how do we account for the rebirth? And for this rebirth, I'm going to quickly share some thoughts on this. One thing is that let's not begin by saying that there is rebirth. Let's begin by saying if there is rebirth. For example, let's say that I don't believe in the existence of the Creator God, but I cannot say that there's no Creator God. I will begin by saying that if there is a Creator God, you're getting it? If. Which means that I'm not saying it exists, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. Likewise, we have to begin by saying that if there is rebirth, which means we don't begin by blindly accepting that rebirth exists. We begin by an open question. Open question, whether or not rebirth exists. So for this, we begin by saying, if rebirth exists, how can we explain this? If rebirth exists. So which means that something within us should be going to the next life and should have come from the past life. If there is something within us. So what is that? If you look at us, we see that we have only two things. For example, you say that I'm Tibetan. Why? Because my body is Tibetan. Right? And you say that, okay, you are not, by the way, once I was in my 40s, how old I am is determined by my body or my mind? My body, right? Okay, there are many stories. Keep the stories away. So my age is determined by body, but not by my mind. Don't forget it. You're getting it? And then say whether you're Tibetan, Indian, American, French, Swiss, all this is determined by your body, not by your mind. Right? Okay. Then how good are you? How kind are you? How intelligent are you? How angry you are? These are all determined by your mind. Right? And taking away these two things, the characteristic as to Dorji makes no sense. I say that that's the empirical self, I want happiness. I don't want suffering. That's the empirical self, I. And of course, some people, they believe in the non-empirical self. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about whether such, non-empirical, is something which we cannot experience right now. As ordinary people, we cannot experience that. Is not. This is not what I'm going to touch in this area. I'm talking about the Dorji, that I have a direct access to myself. That I'm a male. I'm a Tibetan. I'm kind. I'm not kind. I'm intelligent. I'm not intelligent. This person that I describe myself, I see myself as empirically. That's self. That self, we see that it is related to the body and the mind. That's it. If you take over the body, then I'm not a Tibetan. Then I don't have age if I take over my body. If my mind is taken away, then I'm not a sentient being. Then I don't have the feeling. They compassionate, not compassionate, intelligent, not intelligent, they all make no sense. Which means that what I am, for example, let's say the table. Table makes sense only with the top plank and the forelegs, that's it. Removing the forelegs and the top plank, there's no table there. Likewise, you take up the body and my mind, there's nothing left there, so Dorji, that's it. I'm talking about the empirical self. And beside this self, I don't accept, but I don't reject it. Right? Rejecting means is about the traditions. I don't want to reject any tradition. But what I accept is the empirical self. That this self, which I can experience, that I'm Tibetan, I'm a boy, I'm kind, I'm not kind, I'm intelligent, I'm not intelligent, I'm this age, I'm not young. So this the self which qualifies these descriptions, that is the self that I'm talking about. So this self, if this self has the reincarnation, meaning that this self moves from one life to the other, if it does have this quality that it can move from one life to the other, then it should be within the bound of either the body or the mind. And the body is so obvious. Body, it doesn't go to the next birth, 100%. The body either is cremated or is buried or whatever. The body has nothing to do with the next birth, or body didn't really come from the past life, it doesn't go to the next birth. If at all something is there which travels to the next birth, it's going to be your mind. The mind. Okay, the next question. Does the mind exist as separate from the body? This is the next question. Does the mind exist as separate from the body, particularly the brain? Does it exist as separate from the brain? This is the next question. So what's the correlation between the brain and the mind? This is a huge discussion, and for this, this is not that easy. It is not easy to prove rebirth. It is not easy to prove rebirth. It's not easy to disprove rebirth. Let's not forget it. It's not easy to prove the rebirth. It is equally not easy to disprove rebirth. At the most you can say that I don't see this. To say that there's no rebirth, at the most you can say that I don't believe in it. That's it. Who saw it? But to study quantum mechanics, the person should have a sharp intelligence. To study quantum mechanics, don't think that quantum mechanics is a cup of tea of everybody. It's not everybody can understand it. Niels Bohr said it, that if you study quantum mechanics, and if you're not shocked by it, you have not understood quantum mechanics yet. You're getting it? If you study quantum mechanics, and if you're not shocked by it, right? Sitting quickly. Right? Did you hear this? Niels Bohr said it, right? Our physicist here, a young physicist. How old? 19. 18, 19. 19 years old. 19 years of physicist. Brilliant physicist. So if you don't believe in what I said, ask her. What Niels Bohr said is that if you study quantum mechanics and if you're not shocked by it, wow, this feeling goosebumps doesn't come to you, you have not understood quantum mechanics yet. You're getting it? So quantum mechanics is not a cup of tea of everyone. This is something to be understood by with intelligence. You must have enough intelligence to understand this. Likewise, rebirth is not something which anybody can easily understand. It requires a lot of intelligence. It requires a lot of intelligence to see the nuances of how the mind works, and to see the nuances of the correlations between the brain and the mind. Only then you can talk about the rebirth, whether or not it exists. Okay, this is a very sophisticated topic. So with this, what I'd like to share with you is that if there is something which travels to the next birth, it should be the mind. The next question is, does this mind exist as different from the brain? You cannot easily say no. You cannot easily say yes. You cannot easily say this, because it requires a lot of intelligence to say yes or no. Okay, for this, for example, let's say some points that I'll raise here. One is that let's say that what is the most sophisticated mobile now? Brand new Apple iPhone 14 Pro, right? So this iPhone, does it operate on its own? In the morning, right? Hey, right? Hey Philip, get up, it's time for, right? Hey Philip, it's time for your breakfast. Hey, now's your time for your class. Right? Hey Alexi, don't disturb me. Alexa, don't disturb me. Right? Then Alexa says, okay, sorry. Right? Okay, sorry. Right? Okay. Do you agree with me? This Alexa, you have to first of all put everything there, set up everything there. Who set that up? You. The company will make the main design and your voice. And particularly if you are very particular that this Alexa is not misused by your neighbor, you have to teach Alexa your voice. That your neighbor, Alexa will ignore the voice of your neighbor. Otherwise, right? Alexa, open the door. Alexa, open the door. And the neighbor from outside said, Alexa, open the door. Alexa, open the door. Right? Alexa would not say, you are my neighbor, you are not my boss. Right? Alexa, open the door. So you have to set that. If I say open the door, Alexa should not know this. Right? You set it in such a way that Alexa does not respond to your voice when you said open the door. Otherwise, your neighbor will say open the door and Alexa will open the door. And then the thief will say open the door, open the door. You're getting it? All these are problems because Alexa needs external operator. You're getting it? However sophisticated Alexa is, however efficient Alexa is, it requires external operator. Whereas who's operating on you? Somebody comes in the morning, press a button in you, and then you start operating. Or who operates on you? You don't need external operator. You're getting it? What is that? Your brain is like a mechanical, purely mechanical, like Alexa. But you don't need the external operator. That's the mind that operates on you. right? So operator and what is operated, these two cannot be same. Right? Alexa and you are not same. You are not Alexa. Yeah, you are the operator of the Alexa. Your mind is the operator. Operator and operated, these two cannot be same. So these are the nuances. You cannot say that, why do we say that these two are different, these two are one? You cannot say like this. You have this. You need to have these eyes to see the nuances. You need to have this. You need to have this deep, sharp intelligence to see the nuances. And say anything that I will share with you is that say you have a sense of I, a sense of I. This person, this I, sense of I. And this was a sense of I when you were 5 years old, when you were 10 years old, when you today, all along you have the sense of I. Yes? You have the sense of I. Okay. But if it's purely the brain, if it's purely the physical body, right? Physical body, we see that when you were just a tiny fetus in the mother's womb, how many cells are there? There may be like a few million cells, that's it. Now you have trillions of cells within you, right? And of these millions of cells with which you came in the mother's womb, many of these already died. New cells already came up. And there's no sense of new self. Now I'm a different person. No, this is in person. Although the body is almost like 90% of the body that you have now was totally non-existent when you were a tiny child. Minimum 90% of your body that is now was totally absent at the time of when you were a child. Because the cells die and new cells are grown. Only a few neurons, the neurons, their lifespan is long, and then that they die. It says that they don't, they regenerate. But even nowadays, there's a discussion on neuroplasticity. You're getting it? Even now, these new developments coming up. The idea is that, if we equate the mind and the brain completely, just as there's a total change happening on the brain level, on the body level, there should be a total change happening in the sense of self. And then, then it is like, yesterday you were a boy and today you are a girl. Yesterday you were Tibetan and today you are like American. Like a sense of this identity should change like this, but it never does it. So there's constant sense of self, and yet this self is not illusion. This self is so important. Because of this self, you have the medical facilities, you have the education, you have the family, you have in the hospitals, the psychiatry, and all these facilities created to keep this self happy and to keep this self to stay away from the pains. You get it? This self is an empirical reality. It's not an illusion. And yet this self, if you equate the self marked by the body and the mind, with the mind and the body, these two are to be viewed as the one thing, then the danger is that the self becomes like either illusion or, with the change in the body, like 90% of your body that you had, like when you were a child, is no more there with you. So the sense of I should be 90% very different now. But this is not the case. Okay. And also the another thing which a big debate that came up was about the free will. The free will. It was a discussion in a conference in Israel organized by a neuroscientist, a very renowned neuroscientist, and his group, his team. There were so many neuroscientists, his students were there, and psychologists were there, even physicists were there, and I was also invited there to give a talk on what is consciousness, what is mind from a Buddhist point of view. And that debate, that conference, I would say that of all conferences that I attended, that one I would say is the best conference that I would say. Because there's a heated discussion happening, direct discussions, debates happening. Not like, very diplomatic, you ask a question and the person gives the answers, and even you're happy or not happy, you stop. No. So it's just a follow-up question and answers happening. And it's a very heated debates, like the debates that we have in the Monash universities, kind of that. And I was so impressed. So there, one neuroscientist was, they talking about how the neurons work, how the brain works, related to the activity of the mind, mental activities. And then somehow it slipped into the topic on free will. And then from the audience, the physicists were there, neuroscientists were there, psychologists were there. They were all pressing the presenter. So how can you account for free will if you reduce all the mental activities to the brain? Brain is purely physical, material thing. It's a mechanical thing, brain. Where the brain is purely mechanical, you should be able to identify where the free will is. The free will means there's a possibility, there's a choice there. Whereas if it's pure mechanical, there's no choice. For example, there's sunflowers here, the sun rises from the east. There's no choice for the flower. Okay, today I will not face towards the sun. There's no choice. But it's a pure mechanical, it will turn towards it will turn towards the sun, unless the branch is broken. It will turn towards the sun. Whereas you are a human being, your mother is coming from behind. Hey, my daughter. Okay, shall I look at my mother or not? You have the choice. If it's purely mechanical, you don't have the choice. Where is free will? This was the huge discussion, and the neuroscientist, she did not have any answer. She got stuck there, right? Because she tried to explain something, again the more questions come up, more internal contradictions. So this is where, if you reduce the functions of the mind to the brain activities, many contradictions are there. It's not that easy to say that brain and mind is one. You're getting it? Okay. So from this we see that, and then the most important thing is that the change of brain, changes happen in the brain, the mind. Change of mind, changes happen in the brain. These are two things. Many people think that brain and mind is the same because, say, brain damage happens, then they say your ability to speak stops, your ability to think stops, your ability to feel the empathy stops, right? Your ability to feel the pains stops. So this was seen as one. No. So this is so beautifully explained by the Acharya Dharmakirti, a 7th century great Indian master, Acharya Dharmakirti in his text, Pramana Vartika chapter 2. Pramana Vartika chapter 2. Of course, this chapter 2, you have to study it. You study with the help of a teacher. It's not something that you read and you understand it. It's not like say the novel, reading a storybook. It's like study the quantum mechanics. You have to learn from an expert. Without this, you cannot understand it. Okay, so
can we say mind and brain are separate entities but influence each other?
Separate entities?
And they influence each other?
Of course. This is what I'm sharing with you. That Acharya Dharmakirti, he so beautifully explained all these things. The mind and brain, these two are mutually dependent on each other. Yet these two are very distinct entities. Okay, this is so well explained there. And usually, oftentimes, even in public addresses, you go to some center, some teachers are there, you ask about the river, they will tell stories. Somebody who remembers their past life and so forth. And I'm somebody who does not accept the stories, nor do I reject the stories. I'm very neutral to this. And when I explain rebirth, I don't really share stories. And only if somebody is interested, I can share stories, which I'm convinced of. Right? Otherwise, simply because I hear from somebody, I don't share this to prove that this is rebirth. No, this is not, from my point of view, this is not how it works. But some teachers, they give you the reasons, plus share the stories. This is amazing. For example, His Holiness, he gives the reasons, then he shares the stories. This is so effective. Whereas many people, they only share the stories, no reasons. it doesn't help. Particularly intelligent people, they'll run away from you. Anybody can tell stories to say that I'm a Buddha. So I'm a Buddha who is full of anger. Yeah, I can create stories. Yeah, I can create stories. There's a Buddha who's full of anger, or who's not enlightened. A Buddha who's not enlightened me. Right? You can make stories. So stories can go both ways. Whereas stories are there as examples, and the reasons must be there. So that's very important. Okay, we'll stop here. Okay, with regard to the stories, it's not that all stories are wrong, and nor is that all stories are true. So, I personally always keep the stories a little neutral, but then many stories, very convincing stories are there. You cannot reject all stories. Simply because it's a story doesn't mean that it's wrong. This is my personal stand. And in fact, what happened to me was that I was in Nigeria. One time I was in Nigeria, and with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and then I had to go to the airport 1 hour in advance. No, 2 hours in advance. So the government, Nigerian government, sent a policeman to escort me to the airport. And then the policeman in the civil dress, two of us and the driver. And because to the airport it was like 1 hour. So we had so much time together. And he asked me, "Sir, tell me something about Buddhism." The policeman in a civil dress. And I shared about the nirvana, Buddhahood and emptiness. He was not at all interested. Why do you want to listen about it if you're not interested? Yeah. And then somehow the topic came to like rebirth. Then he simply started to glow. And he said, "Tell me something more about this." And "Why are you interested in this?" I asked him. He said that, say, Nigeria is predominantly Christian and Muslim country. Predominantly Christian and Muslim country. And what you're talking about, rebirth, nowhere in the scripts of the Christianity and Islam you'll find this. Yet, if you go to the villages, Nigerian villages, you will see many small children who talk about something of the past, saying that this is not my home. My home is in this village. And they could even specify the name of the parents, specify the names of the brothers and sisters, name of the village. And this phenomena is totally non-existent in Christianity and in Islam. And yet these are happening. People have no clue what is happening there, what is this child saying. So some of them, out of curiosity, took the child to the place where the child was identified that is my home. And the child was taken there. The moment the child gets there, the child behaves as though like he knows the place so well. He or she knows the place so well. And go to the place without somebody leading him or her. He would take the parents and the relatives to the place and enter the house and say, "This is my place," and identify the people there. So he said that we have no clue what is this. And in the scriptures, holy scriptures, no mention of this is there. So this is something everybody's get lost. This happened there, this is so obviously there, you can actually rectify it so well, and yet nothing is spoken about it in the ancient texts available there. So these things are really, this is what I the first-hand experience I had with the displacement of Nigeria. Okay, we stop here.